Hello, everyone, and welcome to this Habs post-game show. And unfortunately, what will be the final Montreal Canadiens post-game show here on Langerr at the mic live of the 2021 season. The Montreal Canadiens lost Game 5 of the Stanley Cup Final to the Tampa Bay Lightning, 1-0. And that Ross Colton goal in the second period was all it took for the Tampa Bay Lightning to beat the Montreal Canadiens in Game 5 to win the Stanley Cup, repeat as back-to-back champions, and to win the series 4-1. Honestly, I'm just so thankful and proud of what the Canadiens accomplished this spring. Am I sad? Yes. Am I disappointed? Yes. Am I just emotionally worn out and drained? Yes. But all I'm doing is doing the best I can to keep a perspective on the fact that the Montreal Canadiens, for the first time in my life and for the first time in the lives of so many of my generation and younger, and even a little bit older, the Canadiens gave us a Stanley Cup final playoff run for the first time in our lives. And I'm happy and thankful that I got to be a part of it. And I'm so happy and thankful that I got to witness part of it live. I'm going to read the comments later, guys. But keep just fire away in the comment section. Of course, I want to get all your emotions and feedback and reactions to the Stanley Cup final run in this the Canadiens unfortunately coming up short. Let's try. We're going to talk about the game. We're going to talk about the run, I guess, and we're going to get to comments in the comment section, and that's how we're going to do things. So, first of all, the Canadiens, let's be real, the Canadiens, like in this game, they were lucky that it was only 1-0 and not any worse than that. Carey Price, who I've worn, one of my superstitions was, look, Carey Price was wearing my number 31 over here and my red shorts and a very particular pair of underwear the entire playoff run for every single game. That was my superstition. But yeah, and it worked to the tune of the Habs going 13-4. And from watching here in Toronto, the Habs are 13-4 when I've had this particular setup in Toronto for this playoff run. But anyway, in this game, the Habs are lucky that it was 0-0 for as much as it was. They were outshot and outplayed in the first period, 13-4. They tried doing this like weird bank pass off the wall every time in the first period, which is like, it looks great and it's a genius play if it works, but the problem is it's a low percentage play and it wasn't working. And thankfully, though, Price had to make a couple of really big saves, like on Braden Point was left wide open in front. And Price also did a really good job controlling rebounds. Like Price, great save on Hedman, big glove save on Tyler Johnson when he had a wide open chance late in the first period. But also Vasilevsky, who was the Conn Smythe winner. He liked Tim Thomas in the 2011 playoffs, who won the Conn Smythe. He made the big saves that he needed to make to allow Tampa to win their third Stanley Cup in franchise history and second in a row. But he also made some, like, he was beatable in the series, though. And that's what's frustrating. I feel like maybe the Conn Smythe should have gone to Kucherov, who led the playoffs in scoring and who got around Philip Deneau, Lehkonen, and Gallagher got around their tight checking to still be essentially a point per game player in this series. But it was Blake Coleman and Barclay Goodrow, who the Habs just had no answer for seemingly in every game. Or in this case, Ross Colton, because Braden Point didn't score. Stamkos had one goal in garbage time. So Habs shut down the Lightning's top guns, but they couldn't solve their defense. The Habs couldn't solve their defense, and they could not solve or shut down the depth players of the Tampa Bay Lightning. So again, going back to this game, just also the power play was just absolutely brutal tonight. I don't know. I don't know how much of that has to do with Gustafson being out of the lineup, because the power play is also really bad in game 4. But the power play, like the Habs had chances on the power play tonight. They had 3 chances on the power play, but we're 0 for 3. Yeah, and they got away with a couple of non-calls as well. But again, the reffing was not ideal, but it never really was. But at least both teams got 3 power plays, so it was kind of a wash either way. And the Habs, again, what frustrates me is that they had a couple of opportunities, again, not only on the power play, but there was a 2-on-1 with Cole Caulfield and Josh Anderson in the second period that didn't even really register a shot. And then there was Josh Anderson who had a breakaway, but I think it was Eric Chernak on the back check who you could say kind of held him, but I don't really think he did enough to warrant a penalty. It's just Josh Anderson was going in there with all the speed in the world and fell into Vasilevsky and hurt himself, went back first, full speed into the post and was banged up there. But he was hurt, but he came back. That was a play that they could have scored on. There was also what's it called? Price also had to make some huge saves on Palat and Kucherov after a Kucherov wraparound attempt. And then there was like Toffoli late, Caulfield late on the doorstep, and then it was Barclay Goodrow that had a huge shot block on Jeff Petrie as time basically like with like 20 seconds left, and that was a nail in the coffin for the Canadiens right there. The Stahl Perry Armia line, though, of course, going back to the goal by Ross Colton. The Stahl Perry Armia line in these playoffs have been phenomenal, but Tampa figured out a way in this series to make them not as effective by simply boxing them out and using the big bodies that they have on defense to box them out down low and in front of the net. And when Stahl Perry and Armia get boxed out in down low and in front of the net, and they have to now defend and back check, well, they're not really the best skaters and they're not the best, defenders. And I think it was Corey Perry's guy. David Savard was Corey Perry's guy who was left open with time and space to make a perfect tape-to-tape pass to Ross Colton, who got inside position on Joel Edmondson. And that was all Tampa needed to win this game. Dominique Ducharme, they shortened the bench in the third period a little bit. Jeff Petrie, 23 minutes. Sherratt, 23 minutes. I did see a lot of Romanov, though. Romanov still got 12 minutes. Kulak also, I feel like he played more than 9 minutes that he played. But yeah, you saw a lot of Suzuki who played over 21 minutes. Deneau played over 21 minutes. Gallagher, only 13 minutes, which is surprising. But Josh Anderson, 16. Honestly, like Toffoli, 17. Toffoli, I feel like he needed to be better in this series, honestly. And as much as I love Cole Caulfield, he got 16 minutes tonight, but there were too many times where Caulfield was trying to do something special, do something magical, like it would work in the Vegas series and in the Jets series and even in the Leafs series, late in the Leafs series, but it wasn't working in this series. And too many times the puck would bounce over a stick or he'd get stick checked and just could not create the time and space that he was able to create in the Vegas series and the Jets series and late in the Leafs series. So, but love Cole Caulfield and Suzuki, what they've done in this playoff run. I'm so proud of everyone. I want to give a shout out to everyone, the Montreal Canadiens. Carey Price, of course. Let's finish with Carey Price. Philip Deneau, Arturi Lehkonen, Brendan Gallagher for their ability to shut down the other team's top players, from the Matthews and Marner in the first series to Connor and Wheeler to Stone and Pacioretty, and now even to Braden Point and to some extent Kucherov, but also Steven Stamkos, even though they weren't always matched up against them. Nick Suzuki, Cole Caulfield, and Tyler Toffoli for their ability to make big plays in the playoffs and come up with big goals when it mattered most until the very end. Jesperi Kotkaniemi, Paul Byron, and Josh Anderson for also their ability to play well defensively, bring energy, play physical, play with speed, and also score some big goals when it mattered most. and of course, Eric Stahl, Yoel Armia, and Corey Perry for their ability to just be the tone setting line in these playoffs, seemingly in every single series. Um, for their ability to play physically, for their ability to just show the kids how it's done, be kind of like a steadying presence for the young kids. I feel like it really affected them positively. And of course, for Jake Evans and for who am I missing a forward? Even Michael Frolik, who didn't really play in these playoffs, but just much love and credit to all of them, all of the forwards that were involved in these playoffs. Um, and yeah, even Caulfield and Kotkaniemi for having to sit out those first couple games and then still play a big factor in these in this playoff run. And Jake Evans obviously for what he had to deal with in terms of getting hit by Mark Scheifele, but still coming back, still playing hard, and still being a factor in the Stanley Cup Final Series. And again, guys, appreciate the comments. I'll get to them all in a little bit. Also, shout out to the defensive horse Weber and Sherratt for all the minutes that they played in these playoffs. And for just playing physically, for hitting everything that moved, giving it all they got, blocking shots. Weber was an absolute monster in game in game 4. Petrie and Edmondson, even though they had a couple of gaffes in this series, and but still, Jeff Petrie, Joel Edmondson played a ton of minutes, and Joel Edmondson with the Stanley Cup Final experience just 2 years ago, Stanley Cup Final win just 2 years ago, must have been a steadying presence on defense. Brett Kulak, Alexander Romanov, even though they didn't play as much, when they did, they gave it all they could. Romanov was, still got in 3 hits, 3 block shots in this game 5, and he didn't play much, but he did everything he could when he did. And then Merrill and Gustafsson, they probably won't be back next year, but Gustafsson was a bright spot on the power play when it was good in these playoffs, and John Merrill was good on the penalty kill, which not many people really appreciate. And last but not least, Carey Price and Jake Allen. The Habs probably wouldn't have made the playoffs if it wasn't for Jake Allen shutting the door while Carey Price was hurt, and for Carey Price playing at a Conn Smythe level all the way up until this game 5 of the Stanley Cup Finals. Just really appreciate, and Dominique Ducharme, Luke Richardson, Alex Burrows, Marc Bergevin, Luke Richardson, if I didn't already mention him, Sean Burkett to step in behind the bench. Dominique Ducharme with the COVID issue still came back, still had the chance to coach in the final here. But just credit to everyone in this organization and the coaching staff for what they did to give us this special Stanley Cup Final run for the first time in this generation of Montreal Canadiens fans, and the first time since 1993. And again, I'm just happy that they didn't get swept. I'm happy that they won a game at least, and an exciting game 4, and gave themselves and gave us fans some hope. And who knows, if they could have maybe scored the first goal in this game, could it have been different? Could there have been a game 6 in Montreal on Friday night? Who knows? We never will. But still, again, I'm proud and I'm thankful for this playoff run. And let's get to your comments now. NO53LF, thanks to the boys for letting me watch hockey in July and be able to cheer. And of all years, the fact that we got to watch this in July and not June. It's July 7th, for darn's sake. And here's the other thing. The offseason is going to be very short. Very, very short, because I think the draft is like July 15 or something. Free agency is like July 20. So it's going to be like barely a month and a half before the start of training camp, and the regular season kicks off in mid-October, going back, assuming COVID doesn't affect anything else. The NHL seems to be scheduled to start the 2021-2022 season as per usual in mid-October and end in mid-June, and then, carry on as normal after that. Roger Delaney, I just hope the anger of defeat fills the hearts of the 2021-22 Habs and the team emerges as Stanley Cup winners. So here's what I'm a little bit afraid of. A Stanley Cup hangover, or the Stanley Cup playoff run hangover. And as I just mentioned, the fact that this was such a long playoff run and it will be a short off season. This is where guys like Ryan Poehling, Alexander Romanov, guys like even who else, like Kotkaniemi, even I mean, he would played a lot of games, but just guys that maybe even Ilonen, maybe even Jake Evans, guys that didn't play for every single game in this playoff run and every single minute of it, or just didn't play heavy minutes and didn't get the didn't have to deal with the grind of being in a long playoff run. It's going to be tough for them to recover. So this is where young prospects or guys that did not play as much in this playoff run have to step up and have to have a strong start to the season next year for the Habs to not have a difficult start to the season. Like, look at the Dallas Stars this year, right? Look how much the Dallas Stars struggled this year. I mean, they also had COVID issues and injuries and all that, but the Habs have to have a good offseason, of course, but also not take a step back. But the good news is the same way they were able to get guys like Toffoli and Josh Anderson and Jake Allen and Joel Edmondson, guys like that to sign, and Corey Perry to sign with them this year. Hopefully a Stanley Cup final run encourages other big names this offseason to be encouraged or to want to play for the Montreal Canadiens in 21-22. Jonas Nicolas Lalonde, that was a great effort from the Bleu, Blanc et Rouge, but unfortunately Tampa is good. And yeah, they're just, look, they don't have many weaknesses. They have 6 really good defensemen, 12 really good forwards, a really like the best goaltender in the world, their co-best goaltender in the world in Andrei Vasilevsky, who won the Conn Smythe. So yeah, Tampa is just a damn good hockey team. And honestly, who's to say that Florida or the Islanders or Carolina would not have given the Canadiens a difficult series had they made it as well. Dixon Automotive Group, we had a good run, but 18th place went to the dance. Exactly. Look, playoffs, I think we learned very well that just make it to the playoffs, be built and healthy, and because the Habs were relatively healthy in these playoffs, have good depth, have good goaltending, have good defense and opportunistic scoring, and you can win games in the playoffs. NOF53LF agreed future is bright, but time is now next year while Price can still steal playoff games. And of course, you have the expansion draft. So, yeah, I don't know if I want to get too much into offseason talk just because I'm not in that frame of mind just yet. But yeah, still kind of recovering, still kind of just, I guess, doing a bit of a post-mortem of this playoff run here. Yeah, it's going to be interesting with the expansion draft, free agency, what to do with Weber, what to do with Price, and all that. So does Sherratt get claimed by the Seattle Kraken? Who knows? We'll see. Jonathan, Papa Langerr here, or speaking as Bro Langerr, what a ride. Vass probably played his best tonight, and the Lightning had enough chances to justify a win. Still can't help but feel like we played well, even well enough overall to push for Game 6. I mean, I kind of disagree, just because the Canadiens, look, they were outplayed tonight. It was a 1-0 hockey game, and they would have had to have been very lucky to have forced a Game 6. To me, the road to a Game 6 would have been winning Game 2, and for this series to have been 3-2 right now instead of 4-1. So yeah. Again, Bro Langerr, again, I understand if you don't want to talk about the future yet, but what are our odds of getting Magic in a bottle again next year? I mean, look, with the division, with Tampa, Florida, Boston, all coming back to the division, obviously Toronto and Ottawa being much better, it's going to be a tough division next year. So the regular season will be important and will be relevant for the Habs to have to do well enough to make it to the playoffs. And yeah, just look, they're just, again, make it there. Just make it there. But yeah. Sheldon Weisberg, the upcoming roundtable episode is going to be heavy. Maybe we'll do it as soon as tomorrow, Sheldon. We'll see. Yeah, maybe we'll do it as soon as tomorrow. I'll get back to you on that. But yeah, stay tuned for a post-mortem on Langerr at the mic coming up at some point tomorrow or in the next 48 hours. We'll find a way to make it happen at some point. Justin Pooney from Process Sports Radio. Shout out Justin of Process Sports Radio. Was this Montreal run legit or a Cinderella story? I'm going to give you a bit of a boring answer there, Justin. That's a great question, by the way. I'd say a little bit of both, because there was a lot of legitimacy to this with how well Carey Price played, with how well Weber, Sherratt, Petrie, Edmondson, that top 4 on defense, with the kids and all 4 forward lines chipping in, again, Suzuki, Caulfield chipping in to Foley scoring some big goals early on, or in the middle of the playoff run. Gallagher scoring a big goal in Game 7. I mean, Gallagher, I think, only had 2 goals this entire playoffs, but Deneau, Gallagher, and Lehkonen and Evans, when Evans was there before Lehkonen, shutting down the opponent's top players. Guys even like Stahl, Perry, Armia as a fourth line out, just completely dominating the other team's fourth line, whether it's Toronto, Winnipeg, or Vegas. They completely dominated the other team's fourth line. And Kotkaniemi, Anderson, and Byron being, again, outplaying the other team's third lines. Like, that's the legitimacy to it, you know? But you could say the Cinderella story was the opportunism in which the Habs were able to score goals opportunistically. The overtimes, going 6-1 in overtimes in this playoff run, that you could say is a Cinderella story. The fact the Habs had the Leafs down 3-1 and had to score 2 overtime goals to force it to a 7th game and then win in Game 7, like that you could say is a Cinderella story. But again, the way that the legitimacy of it, there you go, just a bit of a tongue twister, and I'm losing my voice and emotionally drained. The legitimacy of it was, again, just how well the Habs were able to frustrate the most talented players on Toronto, the most talented players on Winnipeg, and the most talented players on the Vegas Golden Knights. Like the Vegas Golden Knights, their best players, their best goal scorers had to be their defensemen to give them a chance in that series. So, yeah. Papa Langerr, it was an exciting 2 months. Shout out to you, kid, for a great job on the post-game shows. Love every minute of it. And thank you, Papa Langerr, Mama Langerr, and Brother Langerr, and everyone else for tuning in for all of these post-game shows. I am proud to say that I have done a Langerr at the Mike post-game show for all 56 games in these in the regular season. And let's see, 7 plus 4, 11, plus 6, 17, plus 5, 22, all 22 playoff games in this postseason. And I'm going to do all I can to do it again next year. I might, with things going back to normal, if I'm going to be watching games with fellow friends and fans and all that, can't promise that I'm going to be doing it live right after the game every time. But I'm still going to do everything I can to post one, to upload a reaction video at some point after every single game, after all 82 regular season games next year, hopefully. JS, where am I? JS. You have a weird hang up about Vasilevsky. He was amazing and deserves the trophy. No one else deserved it. I honestly can make a strong argument that Kucherov should have won it just because Vasilevsky gave the Habs a chance to win in Game 3. And Vasilevsky was really a difference maker in Game 2 of this series. And that's it. That's it. Just Game 2. Because the Habs were like, Tampa was a better team. It's not like Carey Price. It's not like Vasilevsky was like Carey Price in the Toronto series where he stood on his head and basically just won it on his own. And to me, the Conn Smythe winner is the MVP. And to me, the MVP of the Tampa Bay Lightning, as much as so many of Habs fans hate him for his diving and embellishment and, trying to draw penalties if we're being politically correct, I would say Kucherov should have won the Conn Smythe trophy because Vasilevsky gave the Habs a chance to win in Game 3, and he was only really spectacular in Game 2, I would say. So yeah, that's my argument for Kucherov, who should have won the Conn Smythe trophy. But anyway, Noah Siegel, London. Again, shout out Noah Siegel, London, fellow classmate of mine. After a run like this, who do you add or go after? So, I'm sorry, Noah, but I'm not gonna answer any off-season comments right now. I'm just gonna talk about this game and the playoff run. We will have plenty of time. Maybe actually not as much time as usual, but we'll have time to get into off-season questions. Don't worry. Randy and Anderson was a strong forward tonight. I mean, yeah, Anderson, honestly, Suzuki and Josh Anderson were the best forwards on the Canadiens tonight. I mean, don't get me wrong, Gallagher, Deneau, Lehkonen, Evans, they all hustled, but in terms of effectiveness, it was definitely Suzuki and Anderson who were most effective in terms of the 12 forwards on the Canadiens tonight. Sarah A, even though I'm a Leaf fan, again, huge shout out for Sarah A for coming on to these post-game shows, even though she's a Leaf fan. It was fun to watch the Habs during the playoffs this season and seeing all my friends going nuts for the Canadiens. Great effort. And kudos to you for being a great sport. And also thanks, Mike, for the amazing post-game podcast. They were great. And thanks for making me almost lose my hearing that one game when you screamed super loud in the mic when the Habs won a series. I think there were multiple occasions like that where I screamed into the microphone for overtime winners. I made that kind of a tradition, I guess. But yeah, just thank you, Sarah, for tuning in for being a great sport and for cheering on Canada's team in this playoff run. That was a terrible wink. Canada's team on this playoff run there, Sarah, as well. Randy N would like some fire wagon hockey like Tampa for the Habs. When is the roundtable? Roundtable will hopefully be tomorrow night. I'm gonna have to rally up some troops to join me on that roundtable tomorrow night, but we'll see. But fire wagon hockey, I mean, look, like Tampa, they played. Honestly, it wasn't really that fire wagon hockey. Honestly, it's just they played. They won this game 1-0, and don't forget that they won against the New York Islanders, another very similarly built New York Islanders team. They beat them 1-0 in Game 7 as well. So, like, it's not like Tampa dominated. Sorry, I like they outplayed the Canadiens, sure, but it's not like they won every game. They won Game 1 5-1, but it's not like they won every game 5-1, 5-0, 4-0, 3-0, 4-1. Okay, they won 6-3 in game 3, but game 2, game 4, and this game 5, they were tight hockey games. So they are able to, they have the talent to be able to take to play that fire wagon type of hockey, but they also have the goaltending and the depth on defense to be able to shut it down and play a tight physical brand of hockey as well. Like they out hit the Canadiens tonight. Also, keep that in mind. Where am I? Randy, and need to resign Deneau, Perry, and Armia. I don't think the Habs can find better replacements for them. Sure, I guess definitely Perry, maybe Deneau, maybe Armia, but again, that'll be a discussion for another day. Sheldon, again, I'll get back to you in terms of when we'll do the roundtable. Dixon Automotive Group. We got some big, fast DF coming in soon. Defense coming in soon. Yeah, but here's the thing, though, with Weber, Sherratt, Edmondson, and Perry, as long as they're on the roster, the coaching staff has to be willing to actually use those young defensemen during the regular season and load manage their aging but effective defensemen in the regular season so that we can have Weber, Sherratt, and Petrie and Edmondson playing the way they played in these playoffs, if not maybe even better. So that's the difference that we'll have and still be good enough to win games in the regular season, even with load management and stuff. What's it called? Where am I at? Habs showed their dominant performance in their first 3 playoff series. I mean, yeah, they dominated the Jets. They pretty much dominated the Vegas Golden Knights, except for Game 1, really, and Game 3. But they had the goaltending to win those games, and also a little bit of puck luck as well. But Game 5, Game 6, they full marks for being the Vegas Golden Knights in that series. They won 6, not in 7 against a really good Vegas Golden Knights team, who was the best team in the regular season by the standings in that third round series. Brother Langerr mentioning at Sarah, I've really looked forward to joining this growing community of regulars for an always fun and passionate post-game discussion. And again, I really appreciate the engagement. I'll be completely honest, guys, if it wasn't for you guys tuning in and sharing your comments after every post-game show in the regular season and the playoffs, it would be very lonely here just talking to myself on YouTube. I'd still do it, but I probably wouldn't talk for as long and it probably wouldn't be as fun. So thank you guys as usual for tuning in. Randy, and as much as 2010 was a great playoff run against Washington and Pittsburgh, that was the only year that I wanted Habs to lose just to fire Jacques Martin, the style of hockey they played. I mean, kind of agree with you, but like not really. Like I guess I'll be honest, the only really time I'd really want the Habs to lose is to tank for a draft pick. I'll be completely honest in that regard. But when you're in a playoff series, like, you just at no point do I want the Canadiens to lose more than I want them to win. I'll just say that. Fire wagon hockey, I mean, the puck possession dominance that they played. Well, here's the thing, Randy, though. Again, they dominated puck possession in the second period and in game 2, rather, but they didn't win. So, honestly, to me, it's just a matter of they ran into a super team. And here's what I will say, though. if they didn't have to have Weber and Sherratt and Petrie and Edmondson, who again were just unreal in these playoffs, if they didn't have to play them 27, 25, 24 minutes a game and have Romanov or Kulak or Edmondson or Merrill play only like 12 minutes if they were lucky. Like, I'm looking at Tampa's defense. I mean, I guess I'm maybe a little bit wrong here, but David Savard played only 9 minutes. And who's the other guy? Jan Ruda, 14 minutes. And who's the other guy? Who am I thinking of? Chernak, 22 minutes. They had Chernak. They had McDonough, Chernak, Sergachev. Sorry again. McDonough, Chernak, Sergachev, and what's it called? Who else? And Hedman all play over 20 minutes. So, I mean, I guess, yeah, maybe I'm not going anywhere at that point, but either way, like if the Canadiens could have a bottom pair, like an actual good bottom pair that they can trust to play a little bit more often in a playoff series, that could potentially make a really big difference for them. Like I'm talking about, look, here's an you want to talk about guys, names that they could potentially go after in the offseason. What about fellow Quebecer David Savard for the third pairing on the right side? Because you want Romanov to go up the lineup and eventually go into the top 4. But I'm thinking, what if you could put a right-handed defenseman there on the third pair to kind of ease Romanov, ease maybe, I don't know if Kulak will come back, but ease whatever left-handed up-and-coming defenseman that they want to go with. Maybe like, and they do have some good right-handed defensemen like Cale Fleury, and I think Josh Brook is right-handed, but yeah, just maybe another defenseman that you can trust for big minutes would go a long way. Maybe Alec Martinez if you want to upgrade the left side, but I'd want to put Romanov. I'd want Romanov to settle into a left-handed or a left side top 4 role by next year. Let's go back up in the comments here. Again, I know I said not much offseason talk, but that was just an idea that I kind of had already. Where am I? Keep the celebrities as Stanley Tucci and Pacioretty coming on the roundtable. We'll see. I'll have to reach up to Stanley Tucci. Well, Stanley Tucci's in the comment section, and I'll have to reach out to Paolo De Souza if they'll be able to join, and maybe Matt Cowan, maybe Zach Pencer. We'll see. Sarah A, by the way, I think Mama Anderson's converting into a Habs fan. She won't stop talking about how much she loves Nick Suzuki. Much love for Mama Anderson, who, hey, maybe she'll join the good side. Just like you, Sarah, just like Anakin Skywalker and Darth Vader, I see the good in you guys. Habs Nation will welcome you back to the good side from being Leaf fans. So yeah. Randy N, I meant the prior to the playoffs of 2010. Okay, whatever. I guess just talking about I guess during the regular season, Jacques Martin days. But anyway, carry on. Dixon Automotive Group, Paling, Suzuki, and Caulfield. Paling did have wrist surgery that will be tough for him to come back from this next season. But the way he played in Laval, there should be a spot for him on the Canadiens next year, and he hopefully will be able to play a key role on the big team next year. Dixon Automotive Group, Toffoli, Deneau, Anderson. Yeah, just talking, I guess, guys that will have to play a big factor next year. Randy and Mike, are you saying that you enjoy the way Montreal plays more exciting brand of hockey than Tampa? Look, I don't care. I don't care what's exciting. I care what wins playoff games. I care what wins games. I care about what wins the Stanley Cup. And Tampa had the perfect blend of skill, but also depth. Like I said, with the role that Yanni Gourde, Barclay Goudreau, and Blake Coleman played, and goaltending and defense. You need that blend of everything to win a Stanley Cup, and Tampa just showed it for 2 years in a row. Yeah, like I said, no, Randy, look, we're the good side. We're the good side here, Randy, not the dark side. The Toronto side's the dark side, because they're the ones with all the talent and the good regular season. But, when it came down to the Battle of Endor or the Battle of Yavin, the rebels of the Montreal Canadiens, I guess, to, have a terrible Star Wars analogy, the Montreal Canadiens, the Jedi, came up on top. So anyway, Sarah A, blah, 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 red, blue, and white. Okay. So we're kind of winding down here in the comment section and on the show, just because also I do have to get up at 6 a.m. tomorrow morning. I'm going to try to get a half, maybe decent sort of good night's sleep, maybe catch up on a little bit of work to take my mind off of this playoff run at this point. But yeah, guys, honestly, good. That's one good side, I guess, is that we could go back to kind of a normal sleep schedule. I could shave this really scraggly playoff beard. You know what? Quick comment in the comment section. Do I trim it or do I shave it? Leave a comment in the comment section. But guys, again, thank you so much for tuning in from every regular season playoff, for every regular season game and every playoff game after every one where I went live for these Langerr at the Mic post game shows, whether I was here, whether I was in Montreal with my laptop and without a microphone and without a proper camera, and the camera's still acting up a little bit. I'll hopefully get a new one by next year. Just throughout everything, thank you so much for tuning in this season. And I'm so happy to have had even more engagement in these post game shows with each game seemingly. And just you guys have helped me help you guys and be able to engage that much more with you guys, because from the beginning of the season, I'll be honest, I was like just scripting out these shows, pretty much reading my notes off a screen, but now I'm just basically talking to you guys, talking to the camera. So I've been able to get better at entertaining you and discussing with you guys about how awesome, well, maybe not always awesome, but how just talk about the Montreal Canadiens this year. And as usual, give me a big thumbs up on this video. Subscribe to my channel if you haven't already. Give me a follow on Twitter, Instagram, and TikTok at Mike Langerr for all three. And thank you so much for tuning in to this final Langerr at the Mic post-game show, and for all 56 plus 22 other Langerr at the Mic post-game shows. And I look forward to seeing you again very soon when we go back to our Langerr at the Mic off-season shows, which will hopefully start as soon as 48 hours. So yeah, thank you again. Have an awesome evening. Let's be thankful. Let's be appreciative. Let's just cherish what we just experienced with the Montreal Canadiens going all the way to the Stanley Cup final for the first time since 1993 and winning a game in the Stanley Cup final for the first time since 1993. Let's cherish it. Let's be thankful for it. And just have an awesome night, an awesome summer, and go Habs go.